friends, this is Sachin again from Team Decipher, and today we will be discussing the modern history part, the Indian history, and the first topic we are picking in this series is the Great Revolt of 1857. And let me request you to please take down notes of this discussion, as you might not find every single the aspect we are discussing in this lecture. Okay. Moving on, if we talk what was this Great Rebellion, what it was all about. Well, if we want to put it in the simple way, we can say the Indian Rebellion of 1857 referred to the rebellion in India against the rule of British East India Company that reigned from May 1857 to 1858, as you can see. To start with, this rebellion began as a mutiny of sepoys at the cantonment of Meerut, and it was on 10th May 1857, where in the cantonment in the town of Meerut. And soon this rebellion escalated into other mutinies and civil rebellions, largely in the upper Gangetic and Gangetic plains and central India. Under this revolution, the major hostilities were confined to present-day Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, northern Madhya Pradesh, and Delhi region. We will be discussing various parts where the rebellion was actually taking place. This is Meerut, Delhi, Muradabad, Bareilly, Farrukhabad, Bithur, Kanpur, Gwalior, Jhansi, and so on. Okay, moving on. This rebellion posed a considerable threat to the East India Company power in the region, as mentioned earlier. And this rebellion was contained by the Britishers only when, with the fall of Gwalior in June 20th of 1858, that means the revolt almost ran for almost a year. The historian gave they have given various names to this rebellion, or you can say the India's first war of independence, the Great Rebellion, the Indian Rebellion, the Indian Mutiny, the Revolt of 1857, the Rebellion of 1857, Uprising of 1857, and on. Well, you may look at the areas which were affected by the rebellion in the time of 1857 in the previous slide here. But there were also areas which were totally, or you can say partially, immune from this rebellion. Moving further, as you can see in the given map here, the other regions of company controlled India, such as Bengal and Bombay Presidency and the Madras Presidency, remained largely calm. In Punjab, you can see there, Punjab, the Sikh princes backed the company by providing soldiers and support. The large princely states of Hyderabad, Mysore, Travancore, Kashmir, and as well as other small states of Rajputana, they did not at all join the rebellion. In some regions such as Awadh, the rebellion took on the attributes of patriotic revolt against the European presence. Leaders such as Lakshmi Bai, the Rani of Jhansi, became the folk heroes in the nationalist movement in India half a century later. Well, we are discussing here some of the great leaders of the rebellion. Bahadur Shah Zafar was declared as the emperor of the India in this time of Great Rebellion. Bucks Khan, he was basically commander or in chief of the Indian rebel forces and Indian Rebellion of 1857. Nana Sahib, as you are well aware of him, he was an Indian Maratha aristocrat basically, who led the rebellion in the Kanpur during the 1857 uprising. Begum Hazrat Mahal, who was the first wife of Nawab Wazid Ali Shah, she rebelled against the British and East India Company during the rebellion of 1857. Tatya Tope, the well-known figure who was hung later on in Shivpuri in Madhya Pradesh, he was a basically personal adherent of Nana Sahib of Bithur, Nana Sahib here. was an attendant to him, and he progressed with the Gwalior contingent after the British reoccupied Kanpur. Once then he retreated from Kanpur and forced General Windham to retreat from the city. Later on, he came to relief of Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi with her seized and help her to seize the city of Gwalior. Rani Lakshmi Bai here, this is a portrayal in the form of a Sawar. Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was queen of Maratha ruled Jhansi state. It is situated in north central part of India. She was one of the leading figures of the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and became, for the Indian nationalists, a symbol of resistance to the British Raj. The rebellion led to the dissolution of East India Company in 1858. These were, actually we are discussing some of the consequences and the aftermath of the rebellion of 1857. It led to the dissolution of East India Company in 1858. It also led the British to reorganize the army, like the ratio of Indian soldiers to the white soldiers. It was, again redesigned. It also redesigned the financial system and the administration system in India, which we will be covering in next lectures. But for now, the country was thereafter, directly governed by the crown, and it was called as the New British Raj. Company was no more in the administration making power of the country. To understand the Great Rebellion once for all, we have to dig a little history of the background of British expansion in India. I know this part is a little boring, but bear with me. It will certainly help you. Think about it. This is as a bitter medicines for the bad result. Okay, moving on. As far as background to the East India's company's, expansion in India is related. Although British East India Company had established a presence in India as far as back in 1612, and earlier administrated the factory areas which were established for trading purposes. What were these factory areas? Well, these factory areas were the establishment made for merchants to carry on business in the foreign lands. The first such establishment as a factory was established by Britishers in Surat. Well, moving on, the victory of Britishers in the Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked the firm foothold in Eastern India. Now, you must be aware what Battle of Plassey is. Well, Battle of Plassey was fought, on the banks of Bhagirathi River in the Eastern India. It was amongst the Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowla, who was the last independent Nawab of Bengal, and the British East India Company. What happened? When Alawardi Khan, which was the Nawab of Bengal, he died in 1756. Siraj-ud-Dowla then became the Nawab of Bengal. He ordered, these Britishers to stop the extension of their fortification of their factory. Robert Clive, the then governor of India, Bengal actually, he bribed Mir Jafar, the commander of Siraj-ud-Dowla's army. He bribed him, and he also promised him to make him Nawab of Bengal, and later on, with the aid of Mir Jafar, we call him Gaddar-e-Watan, with the aid of Mir Jafar, he attacked Calcutta. He defeated Nawab at Plassey in 1757 and captured Calcutta. Okay, this was a little history of Battle of Plassey for you people to reconnect the dots. Now, as we were discussing earlier, the victory of Battle of Plassey of these Britishers actually marked the beginning of its firm hold in Eastern India. Let me give you a little insight. As I have given you regarding Battle of Plassey and factory areas, this victory was consolidated in 1764. Finally, after Battle of Plassey, they had a Battle of Buxar when East India Company defeated Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, and after this defeat, Mughal Emperor granted the company the right for collection of revenue in the provinces of Bengal, Bihar or Odisha. These, you can say, these collection of revenue was also known as the right of Diwani to the company. The company soon expanded its territories around its bases, in Bombay, Madras, Later on, the Anglo-Mysore Wars, which were fought between 1766 to 1799. As you can see there, 1766 to 1799. And later on, the Anglo-Maratha Wars, which were fought between 1772 to 1818. This led to the control of vast regions of India. In 1806, if we talk about mutinies as such, in 1806, Vellore mutiny was sparked by the uniform regulations that created resentments amongst the both Hindu and Muslim Sipahis. We are actually learning the basis of expansion in India, the smaller mutinies which actually and the resentments which actually happened before the Great Rebellion of 1857, so that we can comprehensively understand that what actually causes the revolt of 1857 at such a large scale. And to understand this thing wholly, we have to understand the little tidbits of the stories which actually happened before this rebellion. Well, what was this Vellore mutiny? What happened? This mutiny that took place on 10th of July in 1806, you can say it was the first instance of large-scale and violent mutiny by the Indian Sepoys against their British masters. It predated the Indian Rebellion of 1857 by almost a half a century ago. It took place in South India in the city of Vellore. Though it was a very brief, lasting only for one full day, but it was a brutal revolt because mutineers seized the Vellore fort altogether. They captured the fort and killed or wounded almost 200 British troops. After this Vellore mutiny and after the turn of 19th century, a Governor General Wellesley, we will be discussing about him in later discussions. Just mark it for a moment. Wellesley, he began what becomes the 2 decades of accelerated expansion of company's territory. He aggressively extended the company's territory. And how he achieved it? He achieved it either by subsidiary alliances. We will be discussing subsidiary alliances in a moment. And, he carried out agreements between local rulers by the directly military expenses. Well, these subsidiary alliances created the princely states of Hindu Maharajas and Muslim Nawabs. What this subsidiary alliance was actually, the doctrine of subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley, as we discussed earlier. He was the British Governor General in India from 1798 to 1805. Earlier in his governorship, Wellesley adopted a policy of non-intervention. He was not interrupting with the you can say the way the Indian princes were administrating their state. But later on, to expand the company's territory, he adopted the policy of forming subsidiary alliances. Now, what this policy was all about? This policy was to play a major role in British expansion in India, if we talk about it. According to the terms of these alliance, Indian rulers were not to allow to have their own independent armed forces. What they need to do? They were to be protected by the company, but they have to pay for the subsidiary forces which company was posting in their area. That company was supposed to maintain actually these forces, but they are taking the expenses to maintain these troops from the state itself, and in the name of that we will protect you. If the Indian rulers were failed to make payments, as promised by this subsidiary alliance system, then the Indian rulers have to pay through ceding their part of territory to the Britishers. For example, ruler of Awadh at those times were forced to give almost half of the territory to the company in 1801 because for the simple reason he failed to pay for the subsidiary forces. And likewise the Hyderabad, the Nizam of Hyderabad, he was also forced to cede territories on the similar grounds. Okay. Moving on. Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province, which we call NWFP, and Kashmir were annexed after the Second Anglo-Sikh War in the 1849. This is we are discussing in order to know how the British territories expanded before the revolt of 1857. However, if we talk about Kashmir, it was immediately sold, almost literally sold under the Treaty of Amritsar to the Dogra dynasty of Jammu and Kashmir, and thereby it became an independent princely state. What was Treaty of Amritsar then? This treaty, it was signed on 16th March 1846, and it formalized the arrangements in the Treaty of Lahore between British East India Company and Gulab Singh Dogra after the First Anglo-Sikh War. By Article 1 of this treaty, to have a little insight of this treaty, let me tell you, under Article 1 of this treaty, Gulab Singh acquired all the hilly or mountainous country with its dependencies also, which were situated to the eastward of river Indus and westward of river Ravi, including Chambal. That means you can say, if you want to see, this was river Indus, this was Ravi, west to Ravi and east to Indus. This entire territory was given to Gulab Singh Dogra under this arrangement. Apart from Article 1, Article 3 of this treaty said that Gulab Singh was to pay 75 lakh rupees of Nanak Shahi rupees. Nanak Shahi rupees, these were the ruling currency of the Sikh Empire at those times. It almost became to 7.5 million of Nanak Shahi rupees to the Britishers, for what? It was a part of bargains. And in fact, in addition to these 75 lakh rupees, you have to give another annual tributes as well. That is how the Dogras got their Jammu province. So, you can say the Treaty of Amritsar actually marked the beginning of Dogra rule in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Moving on, border dispute. Now these Britishers, what they will do, they will try to move towards the Nepal and hilly area of the, Uttarakhand, these days the present day Uttarakhand and other areas. This border dispute between Nepal and British India, which sharpened after 1801, it actually caused the Anglo-Nepalese War of 1840, which reigned to 1814 to 1816. And later on, obviously with the superior forces, it brought defeat to the Gurkhas under the British influence. In 1854, Berar, this state was annexed along with the state of Awadh. The state of Awadh was added 2 years later after the annexation of Berar. And for practical purposes, the company was the, though it was in the name of, some was in the name of subsidiary alliance, some other was like Awadh and Berar was directly taken over. The company was practically ruling on much of the Indian territories. Now, in these discussions, we have understood the brief background of expansion of company rule in India. In next discussion, we will be we'll mull over the causes and other aspects of the Great Rebellion of 1857. Till then, I thank you for watching this video, and please do give your feedback and reviews in the comment section below. And you can visit our website www.decipherias.com. And for more exam related materials, please, I recommend you to visit this website. Please do like our Facebook page as given below, and take care. Bye bye.